Brazil, a giant of a country. Within its borders, a mind-blowing diversity exists. Its tropical fertility powers an explosion of nature. The mightiest rainforest in the world is just one small part of a land where an incredible parade of life takes advantage of Brazil's bounty. But there is a price to living in paradise. A day can be a long time when death, in its many guises, is forever a split second away. It is a struggle for survival in the next 24 hours in Brazil. Brazil's dry season has reached its climax. The sun rises to a vast fire front sweeping across the tinder-dry Cerrado grasslands. Those that can, flee. But some don't have that option. A Campo flicker family are nesting in a termite mound, and the chicks cannot yet fly. The parents wait until the last moment before abandoning the chicks to their fate. Eventually, the fire front moves on. The Campo flickers return to check for tragedy. But they find only life. The birds have survived because the termites built this mound with a clever network of tiny air holes that divert smoke away from its vital chambers. The fires occur every year at the end of the dry season. Here on the Cerrado, its residents must adapt to survive. To the northwest of the Cerrado lies the mighty Amazon rainforest, the most biologically rich place on the planet. Here, the dry season sun continues its assault on the greatest river on Earth. The Amazon is disappearing. The receding water has cut off large pools from the main river channel. It is in one of these that a family of giant otters is enjoying the easy hunting of trapped fish. They may look friendly, but these extremely social creatures can work together as a ferocious pack. Here, a fish that escapes one is driven into the waiting jaws of another. A large catfish is the catch of the day. But here, any cooperation ends. The giant otters are voracious hunters, consuming 10% of their body weight every day. The adults are almost 2 meters long, 30 kilos of muscular energy. After eating its fill, the thick skull of the catfish is left as an offering to others. Red-bellied piranhas are quick to accept. They're famous for the speed with which they can devour a body. But in the Amazon, reputation counts for little. Like any fisherman knows, leftovers make good bait. It may not seem like it, but this piranha is actually one of the lucky ones. For many, the dry season holds a far worse fate. A shallower pool nearby offers a vision of the future. The temperature is already in the mid-20s, and this trickle of water will soon evaporate. The attendant diners simply watch until the once fearsome piranha finally stops fighting. But that moment hasn't quite arrived. The morning sun beats down on a nearby lagoon, where thousands of desperate fish are sucking the oxygen from the water. The pool is draining rapidly, and as the water warms, the oxygen level plummets further. These fish are drowning. Caimans, South American alligators, have warmed their cold blood in the morning sun and are ready to eat. But they don't have to waste their energy fishing. Instead, they lay a deadly trap. There is only so long one can swim against the current. To survive, fish will need to make it to the deepest pools or the main river channels. But even there, the Amazon offers no guarantees. Within these channels lurks an absolute giant. One of the largest freshwater fish in the world. Reaching over 150 kilos and 3 meters, the Piranha is an imperious hunter. An incredible adaptation to the oxygen-deprived waters of the Amazon allows it to excel where other fish struggle. It is one of the very few fish that can take oxygen directly from the air. It has a huge advantage as it stalks the oxygen-deprived and then inhales its prey with a speed almost imperceptible to the eye. In a rush of water and air, the small fish struggles for breath no longer. The relative cool of the Amazon's morning has evaporated, and the temperature is now in the high 20s. It will only get more oppressive as the day wears on, so a band of peccaries takes the opportunity to search for food. And so does a hungry jaguar. The receding floodwaters have opened up vast and growing tracts of land where prey can run and hide, making this a mouth-watering opportunity. Breakfast disappears into the forest. The largest cat in the Americas can ill afford to expend energy on failed chases such as this. With the mercury approaching 30 and rising, the heat sucks moisture from the jungle into the air, a blanket of humidity. Life collects around the water, where the giant otter family are making the most of the dry season's riches. The time of plenty means time to play for this season's 3 pups. They are well protected as they swim under the watchful eyes of their family, which is good because there are other watchers here. The snorting sound signals danger, a call to action. The mother lifts the pups to safety, and the rest of the family goes on the attack. A growl is incorporated into the alarm call as a threat to the caiman. A family is a formidable opponent, known to kill even large caimans. The pups are safe to return to their play, but there is a serious side. These youngsters are in a race against time. The family is still providing their food, but they need to learn to hunt for themselves before the rains come and prey is harder to catch. In the daily struggle for existence, the fate of an individual is like a mere leaf on a tree. Yet each individual plays a small role in the forest's survival. Reaching high into the canopy stands a Brazil nut tree. Compared with this giant, a tiny agouti seems inconsequential. But the agouti is one of the few creatures in the forest whose strong teeth and jaws can gnaw through the Brazil nut's hard, woody exterior. What it doesn't eat now, it saves for later. By hoarding these nuts, It serves not only its own ends, but those of the tree as well. But the agouti has some unwanted attention. A puma. Hidden and forgotten, the Brazil nut, which the agouti unlocked and buried, now stands a chance of germinating. In another few centuries, it may be a tree towering over a rainforest clearing of its own. The forest canopy is a different world, removed from the ebb and flood of the waters below. As the day continues to heat up, the howler monkeys emerge. And they fully deserve their name. The howl is the loudest made by any animal in the Americas, audible for 5 kilometers. They may sound like a call to arms, but these howls are actually designed to keep the peace by defining territory so that other troops don't venture too close. Avoiding conflict is a serious business here in the tropics, where even the slightest wound can cause fatal infections. While the howlers have found their favored method to avoid such surprise encounters, the tiny squirrel monkey has evolved a less raucous, though no more discreet method. It urinates on its hands and feet to leave its personal signature, a chemical barcode, as it scampers along the branches. But not all of the canopy dwellers are so keen to avoid their neighbors. This golden-handed tamarin calls in on a young macaw couple next door. But the macaws seem to prefer privacy. They have nutcracker beaks and powerful claws. They finally persuade the tamarin that it has outstayed its welcome. The reason for the lack of hospitality may now be apparent. The pair has other things on its mind. Macaws mate and pair for life. The forest canopy provides protection, easy travel, food, and good visibility for the monkeys and their predators, including the fearsome harpy eagle. With a wingspan of 2 meters, it is the world's largest eagle. Though the squirrel monkey's life is over, its story does not end there. It is destined to fuel the next generation. The chick is almost ready to fledge, but for now, it is totally dependent on its parents for food. And not a scrap is wasted. The chick is large and strong, but it still lacks the confidence to leave the 30-meter-tall nesting tree. For now, short practice flights exercise his muscles and tune his balance. Soon, he will make the leap and take his place among the apex predators of the Amazonian skies. When the chick finally starts to hunt, one animal will be at the absolute top of its menu. The three-toed sloth. It has the lowest muscle mass relative to body weight of any mammal. An adaptation that allows it to subsist on one of the poorest diets. Eating the leaves that few others can stomach ensures that the three-toed sloth avoids any strenuous competition for food. But her low-calorie diet leaves her with no energy to spare. So she has adaptations, including an extra bone in her neck that allows her to swivel her head almost full circle, so she can watch her back with minimum effort. The sloth's baby will spend over 6 months clinging to its mother. For this curious capuchin, the docile sloth seems like an opportunity for some entertainment. But any mother defending her child has a trick or two up her sleeve. But the Amazon holds much bigger dangers for a sloth than a mischievous monkey. And those dangers must be faced today if the sloth is to see tomorrow. High noon in the Amazon. The dry land drives back the water to its summer quarters. In the heat, animals pant, look for salt, or make for the shade. The caiman's mouth hangs open in an attempt to release as much heat as possible. Even the hyperactive giant otters are taking a break to digest the morning's catch. The power of the equatorial sun has brokered a delicate peace, for now. The Cerrado is a seemingly infinite sea of grasses. From its depths, a truly bizarre shape emerges. The giant anteater is over 2 meters long and weighs in at around 35 kilos. It may look ungainly, but it is a supremely adapted predator. Though she is called an anteater, termites are her sustenance out here. It has powerful claws and makes short work of the rock-hard walls. Her specialized tongue does the rest. At 60 centimeters long, it reaches deep into the mound. Prey is glued by sticky saliva produced from giant salivary glands, and then sucked up through a narrow tube inside her fused jaws. Her tongue can flick up to 160 times per minute. A termite seems like a meager ration for such a large animal. But they are extremely high in protein and also supply most of the liquid the anteater needs. Crucial at the height of the dry season. The anteater usually makes just one hole in the mound and takes only a few hundred termites before moving on to the next. The mound suffers minimal damage, and the workers quickly attack the repair work with pellets of saliva-coated feces. And they're not the only ones hard at work maintaining the colony. In the depths of the mound, in its most precious chamber, dwells a monstrous form. The termite queen. She relentlessly produces tens of thousands of eggs per day, replacing the lives lost and growing her colony. The beat of the Amazon heat is slowing, and an empty belly rouses a jaguar from its slumbers. It probes the riverbed for signs of hidden life. Pound for pound, jaguars have the most powerful bite of all the big cats, often killing large prey by piercing directly through the skull. But today, its power and majesty are reduced to delicately picking over a catfish and its sharp bones. Such a small meal will not sustain it for long. It will need to eat again before night falls. South of the Amazon lies a very different environment, the Pantanal. During the wet season, it's like a vast inland sea, where roughly 80% of the land is submerged. But today, at the height of the dry season, an isolated lagoon looks more like a bowl of cayman soup. The receding water has given rise to vast new meadows, enjoyed by grazing animals. But the feast is interrupted by a predator. This anaconda. She is starving and hasn't eaten for months. Even so, the marsh deer are safe. The snake is heavily pregnant. The pressure required to suffocate her prey might crush the young she is carrying inside her. But her fast will not last much longer. She finds a quiet pool that will serve as a birthing suite. The first of her young are visible on the surface. The offspring are born fully independent. But each young snake faces a bleak outlook in its first minutes of life. A host of hungry beaks are lined up to devour the youngsters. The tiger heron deftly severs the vertebrae of the reptile before gulping it down. It's a smart meal, considering that the bird could easily become prey to a surviving anaconda. The feast is timely for the jabiru storks. These chicks need a lot of feeding if they're to become 1.2-meter tall adults. But predators have gathered below the nesting trees, alert to any possibility of falling eggs or chicks. And a woodstock chick unhappily obliges. The heat and humidity are just beginning to fall. The otters rouse from their slumbers to indulge in a little territory marking. Urine and feces are mixed into the sand and spread over the beach to make it abundantly clear to unrelated otters just whose beach this is. But the performance is interesting an audience. Siesta time is over for the caimans as well. And they are not the only predators drawn to the lagoon. A jaguar also stalks the margins. Hunting otters is for the foolish and the desperate. A whole family is usually far too formidable a target to take on. But an empty belly can have profound effects. But perhaps it's not otter the jaguar is hunting. With a single bite, it instantly severs the caiman's cervical spine. Its once vigorous body hangs limp as the jaguar hurries away to finally enjoy a feast. As the day cools, the deadly dance of predator and prey reaches its climax. And not all will still be on the floor come nightfall. It's a late lunch for the anaconda. Every time the caiman exhales, the 3.5-meter snake tightens to fill the space until the caiman's lungs can no longer inflate. And the last glimmer of life is finally squeezed from its bulging eyes. The anaconda's long fast will soon be broken, A kill of this size will sustain her until the rains return. In the Amazon canopy, a sloth devours cecropia leaves. But when the leaves run out on one tree, the sloth must move to another. But descending to the forest floor would be perilous. Hungry predators await. Weak and slow, she would be practically defenseless. Instead, she attempts the transfer in the canopy, difficult with her lack of agility. Thankfully, this aerial gymnastics routine is scored on execution rather than speed. A score of 0 in either case. Fortunately, she is a much more accomplished swimmer. Her lack of muscle makes her buoyant, the water bestowing a freedom of movement that she lacks on land. The sloth makes it to the shore. Her weight no longer supported, she hauls her body from the water. It would take over 2 weeks to travel a single kilometer. She finally reaches her desired tree and escapes the peril of the forest floor to begin the long climb back to the safety of the canopy. It's been quite the odyssey for this most reluctant of adventurers. But the Amazon offers no special treatment to the intrepid. Mother Nature is a cold parent. She must take from one to give to another. For now, Mother Nature is generous to the harpy chick. He is ready to take the leap. Another young member of the most powerful eagle species in the Americas spreads its wings and embraces the jungle skies. Dusk begins to fall on the Amazon. The agitated contact calls of the giant otter family betray that all is not well. One of the family is missing. A jaguar, caiman, puma, or anaconda may have ambushed the young female. The calling becomes more desperate as the darkness grows. There is no response. On Brazil's Cerrado, change is in the air. But the downpour stops as abruptly as it began. This is just the beginning of the end of the dry season. The conditions are right. The rain inspires the emergence of termites, different from the usual workers. Termites with wings. An exodus of winged males and females emerge from thousands of termite mounds. Once a year, this exquisitely choreographed mating flight is evolution's ingenious method of allowing the siblings from each mound to mate with unrelated termites. It breaks the genetic stranglehold of the single breeding queen from each mound. Every mated female becomes a queen in her own right and returns to the ground with her mate to begin a new mound, eventually laying tens of millions of eggs in her 10-year lifetime, if she lives past tonight. Flocks of birds glide amongst the mating dancers, beautiful against the distant sunset, brutal up close. As night falls, the birds depart, and the termite mounds undergo a remarkable transformation. The light show is created by a chemistry as dazzling as it is deadly. The green bioluminescence is emitted by the larvae of the headlight click beetle. They live buried deep within the mound walls for up to 4 years, programmed to emerge for this single event. Their illumination suddenly switches on, and winged termites are drawn to the light. As they fly close, the vibration from their wings causes the larvae to shine more brightly, and it's a fatal attraction. This is the only time the larvae eat. A crucial meal that will provide the nutrition to metamorphose into headlight beetle adults. In the Amazon, the relative cool of the dark provides some relief, but it's also perfect conditions for nocturnal hunters. Monkeys take to the very highest, flimsiest branches, beyond the reach of even the most nimble predator. On the ground, deer continue to feed. But they're not the only ones looking for a meal. A vampire bat attempts to whet its fangs. Once on the ground, the bat uses heat detectors in its nose to locate an area where blood vessels are close to the skin, while the deer relies on a keen ear and a surly attitude. The bat finally manages to land unnoticed. An anticoagulant stops the blood from clotting, so the bat can drink its fill. But not tonight. The deer is too wary, and it has good reason. A much larger threat is approaching. A puma. A distant alarm call spooks the deer. But it's not enough. Unnoticed, the puma gets within striking distance. But help arrives from an unlikely source. A frog startles at the puma's approach. Another bloodless night. Back on the Cerrado, the eyes of another predator shine from the darkness. A maned wolf has a meal in her sights. And tonight's victim is more obliging than most. It is the fruit of the Libera tree. A member of the deadly nightshade family, few can stomach it. But for the maned wolf, the poison combats a painful kidney parasite. Without the Libera, her life would be a misery. And the Libera needs the wolf too. As usual, the wolf marks her territory atop a small anthill. The resident leafcutter ants emerge to confiscate the droppings. And down they go into the nest, where they are fed to the ants' fungus garden. Moist, warm, and dark, it is the perfect place for a Libera seed to germinate. With the well-tended fungus garden providing moisture and nutrients all year round, the tree will soon grow up, through the roof, and out into the sunlight. As dawn breaks over the Amazon, a solitary giant otter swims. This young female has abandoned her family to wander alone in the Amazon with one perilous goal: to start her own family. The heart is a lonely hunter, and the balance between the desire to breed and the dangers of life on her own has finally tipped. She will risk attack by big cats, anacondas, and caimans, all in the service of one of the billions of biological drives that power every wild 24 hours in Brazil.